So it looks like we're getting new Chaos Space Marines this week for Warhammer 40k. Let's talk about the upcoming big Adepticon Warhammer preview, and a whole bunch of leaks, teasers and hints that Games Workshop have given us so far. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're talking about the big model previews that are coming this week. Late Wednesday for you folks over in the USA and Canada, early-ish Thursday for much of us in the rest of the world. Seems that Games Workshop have given us a pretty good idea as to what to expect, both from Warhammer 40k and a bunch of other game systems, so let's take a talk about what's going to be coming this week. The model preview is going to be a return to form of their stream's model reveals. The last set of miniature reveals that they had was for the Warhammer World Store anniversary, though they decided against doing a streamed reveal show for that one, perhaps due to only having a few things to show off. For that one we got the Adeptus Custodes Codex, new miniatures and battle forces, plus a few things for other systems, though not really quite as much as perhaps their typical big reveal shows like this. As mentioned, the timing of the show is going to be late Wednesday for the USA and Canada, early Thursday for much of the rest of the world. Looks like it's a nice sociable 3 AM UK time, but that won't stop me being up and ready to cover it here on the channel. I guess for Warhammer 40k at least, it won't be anywhere near as big as last year's Adepticon preview. Last year's was about one of the biggest preview sessions that Games Workshop's ever done, showing off both the return of a Primarch with Lionel Johnson and Warhammer 40k 10th edition being confirmed. That really was something else in terms of reveal shows, and I don't think we're going to get anything quite that kind of scale this time. It does certainly show that Adepticon is an event where Games Workshop is pretty happy to announce some seriously big stuff. I believe the previous year it was the Chaos Knight army set, and it does look like they are going to have an edition launch of one sort this time round. Age of Sigmar 4th edition looks like it's going to be announced at this one, so bound to see some Skaven and Stormcast Eternals there. For actual model full teasers, we've got this Terratic Prowler for the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. I'm not sure whether that's actually going to be for Age of Sigmar or if that might be for one of their skirmish games. They do have Warcry teased, so it could be for that, I guess. Even before any further teasers, Chaos seemed the most likely possibility for Warhammer 40k content, though Games Workshop have basically confirmed that and shown us off one new model with a teaser image. Looks like one new character model at the very least, and could be more. This time Games Workshop have given us an idea as to the game systems either getting reveals or teasers. It does look like it's going to be a pretty jam-packed show, particularly if Age of Sigmar is indeed getting an edition reveal. I feel like they're going to have quite a lot to cram in. Interestingly, they seem to have divided it into 6 main things: Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Warcry, the Old World, Kill Team and Underworlds, and then at the bottom they've said plus exciting teasers for Necromunda and Warhammer the Horus Heresy. Kind of interesting that they've separated out like that. I don't know if that means that Necromunda and the Horus Heresy aren't going to actually get any proper miniature reveals at this one, which seems kind of unlikely. They do often tend to drop little sort of teaser hype trailers at the end of these reveals from time to time. It could be perhaps that we get a release roadmap for the Horus Heresy, seeing as we're basically at the end of the previous one that Games Workshop put out when the system came out. Or it could be a hype trailer for something to come, maybe another new plastic army range, or another Ascended Demon Primarch or the like. I did notice that there doesn't appear to be anything for Legions Imperialis here. They have been doing occasional drip-fed releases on their Thursday previews alongside the Horus Heresy character series ranges that have been coming out there. I guess to be fair to them, they did have an enormous amount of contents to put in this one, it would seem. I wouldn't be too surprised to see it cropping up from time to time in future preview shows. Focusing on Warhammer 40k though, and it does seem that we are indeed getting at least something for Chaos, as basically confirmed by a teaser image that they put out today. We did basically know that the Chaos Space Marines were going to be taking centre stage here. Games Workshop have had their 40k Codex roadmap for a little while. We know that the spring codexes were going to be Dark Angels, Tau, Custodes and Orcs, and it seems that we've had all of the major reveals for those factions so far. The only one that we'd had left for spring were the Chaos Space Marines, an army that I don't think that we'd got any teasers or hints at yet so far. So this really did seem like the show that they'd be focusing on that codex and any new models that come out alongside. And it does seem that we've now got at least one miniature teased. Games Workshop often put out these little hints as to what's coming in the show a few days before. This one came out on their social media for 3 days to go till Adepticon. And it's really quite clearly the outline of a Chaos Space Marine here. Loads of details that give us a bit of info as to what it is. You can clearly see the power pack he's got in the back, so it's a Chaos Space Marine in power armor rather than Terminator armor. It's got a trophy rack that's festooned with a few skulls or helmets, a common thing on their characters and their elites. Looks like he's wearing one of their classic horned helmets. The Games Workshop recent character miniatures often tend to come with head swaps. You can clearly see a power axe in his right hand. You can see the cabling and it looks curved, doesn't look like a hammer or anything to me. He's got a tattered cloak billowing around him, as Chaos Space Marines don't seem to know how to look after their finery very well in the Eye of Terror and on Crusade, I guess. And then his left hand is maybe a little bit harder to make out. It looks like perhaps a slightly twisted demonic claw type affair. Not sure if it's got some sort of wrist-mounted gun there, or even if it's just a pistol or ranged weapon, but just a bit awkward with a silhouette that you can't properly see. In the background of the image we can see two other models, but they do appear to be exact copies of the first, not just subtle variants on the same miniature. My first thought when I saw them was that it could well be a squad, but to be honest, given that they're literally the exact same figure copies, I think that makes it far less likely. If we were going to get a squad reveal, they'd probably show silhouettes of the other figures there rather than just cloning the same one. I'm also not 100% sure what these sort of miniatures would be, given that if it were a squad, it sort of feels like in a similar sort of vein to Chosen, I guess. We already do have the Chaos Space Marine armoured elites with power weapons after all. Between all the details we can see, it looks like it could well be a resculpt of, say, this classic Chaos Lord. He does seem to have most of the features represented on him. The trophy rack's a little bit different, and he's got a different posing with the power axe and things. Otherwise, though, there do appear to be quite a lot of similarities. I kind of wonder if the power pack end bits might be in the shape of skulls in a similar sort of fashion. It does look like kind of a jawbone on the one on the top right. Between all that, my first guess would be a Chaos Lord, and if so, hopefully it's a nice flexible one with a whole bunch of options. A jump pack option on one would be absolutely great, given that they removed that last time round, much to the annoyance of the Night Lord players. There certainly could be other options, a new character of some other denomination. Games Workshop do like to make up new ones, like that Master of Executions, or even perhaps a new sculpt for the Exalted Champion, a model that they seem to be a little bit flaky about keeping actually in mainline production. In any case, to my mind, that confirms that we're getting at least one new miniature for the Chaos. Will be interesting to see if we get anything else, whether it's going to be a major or minor release. It could just be the one lone character, like for Admech or seemingly Custodians or Orcs, though Chaos certainly have a few other kits that I think lots of people would really quite like to see. Perhaps chief amongst the models that need an update are the Chaos Bikers. Would be really cool to see them redone with Outrider kind of scale. I feel like that could be a very cool kit if they give them a few options. Huron Blackheart, I think, is an iconic miniature that would be a shame not to get a new plastic kit at some point. As mentioned, the Jump Pack Lord is one that I think needs to come back. A proper kit for Fallen would be good. And then there's plenty of other things on the wish list. A nice multi-part kit for Obliterators that could make Mutilators would be fun. More Legion kits similar to the Night Lords. And likely Noise Marines and Lucius the Eternal, though I feel like those two are only really going to be likely when an Emperor's Children Codex comes out. I'd guess if we're going to be talking Chaos Space Marines, there's a good chance that we get to see the Codex cover. Fingers crossed we might even get some rules teasers as well. Admech and Necrons did get some hints from their upcoming books when they were revealed. I feel like compared with most codexes, the Chaos Space Marine detachments might be particularly hotly anticipated. For them, it's not really just different ways and styles to play, they're going to be the rules that sort of pseudo-represent the flavour for their individual legions, things like Night Lords and Alpha Legion and Black Legion and Word Bearers. All of those guys basically just play the same with the Slaves to Darkness detachment. Will be interesting to see how Games Workshop tries to realise their archetypes for 10th edition, and expect them to be loosely themed around their playstyles as opposed to be outright called detachments for Alpha Legions or Night Lords in a similar sort of style to the Space Marine Codex that we had, where we had things like the Anvil Siege Force to represent Imperial Fist, even if technically it could be run by any chapter if you had mind to do so. In any case, some good stuff on the way for Chaos. Beyond that, for the spring releases, as I mentioned, I do suspect that we've seen all we're going to see for Custodians and Orcs, though I guess it's not impossible GW might surprise us. With their normal pattern of previews by the time they show off the Codex cover, that's generally the majority of their new models done. We know they're getting these two character miniatures, initially coming out in really big combo box sets, the Orc Stomper Boys, dominated by that enormous walking war machine, and the Auric Champions for the Custodians, a kit that's both heavy in Terminators and Bikers. I'm doing a channel giveaway for those box sets, with 6 of them in total going out, and I'll circle back to talk about that at the end of the video if you're interested in entering for those. My guess is the only other big announcement that we have left for the Custodians and Orcs are what their combat patrols are going to be updated to. So far, it does look like every single combat patrol in 10th edition is going to be updated, and potentially that could be really bad news for the Custodians in particular, generally seen as a pretty popular one that gets you loads of points in the box. I'd be kind of surprised if they announced the updated combat patrols at this particular preview though. It does seem that Games Workshop are trying to keep them almost on the down low, announcing that they come out, but really not putting any focus or emphasis on it versus new miniatures and things, probably because they're going through, and for a lot of them, they're arguably just making them worse. Beyond that, we do have the Codex roadmap for summer, Genestealer Cult, Adeptus Auroritus, and a super secret mystery codex. Given that the first focus is going to be Chaos, there's a very reasonable chance that we don't get anything shown off for these at this time. I'd actually probably guess that the biggest chance that we have is seeing something for the Mystery Codex, maybe just the identity of it's revealed, whether it's something super exciting or just another codex out of Games Workshop's roster. I feel like we'd have the highest chance of seeing that if it was indeed a whole new faction added to the game, something like Emperor's Children or Dark Mechanicus or something unexpected. For really big releases like that, they tend to give us loads of notice in advance. We knew about Votan and World Eaters a long time before they came out. If we don't hear anything about that now, I'd guess it's probably not going to be a major release for a new faction. It might just be one of the many books that we still have to come out for 10th. For potential teasers, we have seen some parts that might fit with these various factions. I thought that this hand clutching a bunch of demo charges looks like it could well represent a Genestealer Cult miniature. They do like throwing their bombs about, and that hand does look like it could represent a cultist one, does look a bit odd. For the sisters, genuinely no massive idea. We did get this rather angelic parchment sort of rumour engine, and while I did see a few people saying that it could fit in with something like Stormcast Eternals, my guess is it's probably going to be either Blood Angels or Sisters of Battle. I feel like it fits a bit more closely with either the parchments that come under the Sanguinor or Asterath or Celestine for the sisters, could be another jump character for them. For the Mystery Codex, we did get that leak not so long ago that they're printing an Agents of the Imperium book of some description, featuring rogue traders, demon hunters, and navigators and things. There's a good chance that that could be the Mystery Codex, given that it's a bit of an unusual one. Inquisitor Kotiaz returning to the fore was strongly hinted at the end of the Arcs of Omen narrative. I feel like Inquisition and Agents of the Imperium could be a really interesting way to expand more, and they could do some very interesting things if they wanted to, though for the most part they try to keep them sort of peripheral to the overall setting of 40k. Otherwise, beyond core 40k releases, there's often plenty of interest for things from the grim darkness of the far future from Heresy and Kill Team. For Horus Heresy, we've had the Solar Auxilia reveal recently. It looks like the bulk of their range will be launching this weekend and going on sale there. We almost certainly have more to see from them at some stage. The Charonite Ogrins, I think, will definitely be redone. It's just a matter of when, not if. Otherwise, on the roadmap, we've got the Legion Command Squad and the melee weapons. They're both teased on the plastic kits line, and we already know that the Legion Command Squad is going to have this banner bearer in it. That was the one that was teased at the end of December. So I feel like the next Plastic Heresy reveal we'll see will be for that. Could be perhaps interesting for 40k purposes, as per always. I feel like with a bit of work you could probably make them work for company heroes, and might be useful for other various Space Marine characters that you can attach to units, like Ancients maybe. Otherwise, the idea that they're getting some sort of teaser is pretty fun. It's been really good to see another roadmap for the future of the Heresy for the next year's worth of releases, or at least a couple of more seasons. I'd guess that the other things they might mean by teasers could be maybe a sort of hype trailer for either an Ascended Primarch or a new plastic miniature range. We've had the Solar Auxilia, and there are other major releases that they could do for the Horus Heresy. The most obvious might be Adeptus Custodes or Mechanicum. Either of those could get a very big plastic release in the future for this setting. Custodes in particular I think will be very relevant to 40k. Lots of people want to see those cool Forge World style units in plastic. Lastly, for Kill Team, this one always tends to be a wild card. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with Games Workshop's Kill Team releases though they seem to be running crazily behind schedule. Kill Team Nightmare has been fully revealed for a really long time now. I believe that we saw the Night Lords towards the tail end of last year, and now we're all the way till mid-March and we haven't even had the release date announced yet. I'm sure there's plenty of Chaos players looking forward to getting their hands on the new Kill Team set, and the Drukhari players with their Mandrakes. We did get a teaser image of this sort of ridged camo cloak type thing that I've seen some people claiming might well be a Votan Scouts type unit. I believe that's one of the ones that Mr. Valrak have been rumouring for a while now. Feels like that could be potentially part of those, unless it winds up being guard rattlings or something wildly different from Necromunda or something. I feel like the ammo pouches and things would fit in quite well with Votan though. As ever though, I feel like they could do all sorts of fun stuff with Kill Team. I do like it when they just really give a sort of neglected unit and just give them a massive amount of love in that setting. It does lead to some really quite fun kits like the Deathcore Krieg Veteran Guardsmen, or the Orc Commandos, or these two with the Night Lords and Mandrakes being redone in style. Pretty cool to be able to just take one of the units that's been neglected the most and then raise it up right to the forefront with the motivation of them being able to use it in 2 games. As mentioned, I feel like maybe Fallen Chaos Space Marines would be a particularly good choice at some stage for a Kill Team release. Seems like they'd fit in kind of perfectly there. And otherwise it looks like it could be a really good option for releasing things like regiment specific Imperial Guard or Chaos Legion type content like these Night Lords. I'm sure any other releases that are done in that sort of style would go down really well. Perhaps one of the most obvious things to update for the Guard might be Kaschan Jungle Fighters. They feel pretty well tailor-made for the Kill Team setting, and it'd be great to see the army of Rambos get a little bit of love. In any case, loads of big possibilities to come. As mentioned, I suspect we'll be getting Age of Sigmar 4th edition revealed at this one. They have been doing a sort of hype trailers in a similar sort of style to 40k 10th edition, with rumbles coming across the ground, rats running everywhere, and a green glow of warpstone emitting from beneath the earth. It looks like the Skaven are coming back in style, and are likely going to be fighting against Stormcast Eternals in a big edition launch box set. Should be fun to see. It's really quite cool to have the idea of one of the old world's most iconic factions actually getting some proper love in Age of Sigmar. In any case, looking forward to talking about some fun 40k things on Thursday morning. Feel free to check back to Auspex Tactics then, and I'll try and make a video as fast as I can after the show. As mentioned, some of the next 40k releases should be the Orcs and Custodies Battle Forces, and that's going to be the subject of my April giveaway on the channel. 6 winners from people supporting the channel in one way or another, and each of those winners will either get to pick the Custodies or the Orc Battle Force set, the Auric Champions or the Stomper Boys. As per normal with the channel giveaways, there's 2 equal ways to enter, links down in the video description. You can either support on Patreon for any amount, that is the main thing that allows me to make these videos really quite so regularly with multiple new things coming out most days, and that gives you automatic entry into the giveaways each and every month with similar big things. Otherwise you can support the channel via social media, do that by these 3 actions: subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page, links down in the video description, and then to actually enter the draw on Facebook, a post will appear on the 1st of the month. Respond to that clearly marked giveaway post with a photo of any 40k mini or imagery, along with your name and the date handwritten within the same photo. The last bit is just to deter Facebook bots and spammers. That post stays active for 24 hours from midnight UK time, and after that's done, I do the draw, put all the entries, whether they're Patreons or Facebooks, into the random number generator, pick out the 6 winners, and they get announced on the channel update video on YouTube around the 4th of April. There'll be further giveaways in a similar sort of style every month. I'm sure Games Workshop will keep the big box sets coming. In any case though, let me know your predictions for Adepticon down in the comments. What do you make of that new Chaos miniature? Do you think it's a Chaos Lord or something different? And what sort of thoughts or hopes do you have for the subsequent codexes after that? If you've enjoyed them, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I do tend to cover Games Workshop's news and releases as they happen. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos, I would just like to mention the Auspex Tactics Patreon page once more. Channel patrons do get a few advantages: seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.